Everybody, I'm Daeshen Smith. Thanks so much for joining us for week 6 of the high school football season. I'm here at our game of the week, which features the Saraland Spartans taking on the Foley Lions. Now, this, of course, is a non-region matchup, Saraland being in 6A, Foley being in Class 7A, but definitely still an important matchup for both teams as we head towards the home stretch of the 2023 regular season. A lot of things on the line still, like momentum for both teams. For Foley, who just cleared the field a second ago, they're looking to get back to their winning ways. They did start off the season pretty hot, going 2-0 in their first 2 matchups, but they did kind of hit a snag once they got into region play, dropping those 2 back-to-back games against Baker and MGM. They were off last week, so they're fresh off that bye week and ready to get back to those winning ways, ready to get things back on track heading into the latter half of their schedule. And this will really be a good test to see where they're at as far as that second half of the schedule. Of course, Saraland has really been a juggernaut the last year and a half, running through people of all classifications on their way to last year's 6A state title, and they're well on their way to doing so again this year. But for Foley, again, they're 2-2 on the season, and they've really lived and died by that run game. Colton Nero is the 3rd leading rusher in the state. He's sitting at just under 1,000 yards and has 12 touchdowns on the year. Again, he's really been a catalyst for that offense. New quarterback Nelson Thompson looking to get comfortable as well. Him being the full-time starter here in Class 7A for the first time this season, taking over for last year's quarterback Reese Tynes. He's still looking to get comfortable. Did have those 3 turnovers against MGM a few weeks ago, so the bye week definitely doing him some good as well. Now, this Foley offense also features Auburn commit Perry Thompson, who's really been, and you could probably hear Saraland's fans over me, so excuse me if it gets a little bit loud. They're here early and they're excited for the game. But Perry Thompson has really been one of the stars for this team over the last few years. 5-star wide receiver, Auburn commit. So far on the season, he has over 200 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. He also has a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. So really getting it done on all facets of that offense. He's also pretty dangerous on special teams. Sometimes he serves as the team's primary kick returner and punt returner. So if you're Saraland, if you're in a situation where you have to punt, you definitely want to keep the ball away from him. If he gets the ball in space, he is extremely hard to catch up to, and he's a big, tall, physical wide receiver. So if you can get hands on him, you do need to wrap him up and bring him to the ground because he's extremely hard to bring down as well. That defense for Foley has given up on average about 30 points a game, so they want to tighten that up here tonight against Saraland. Again, a really good test to see where they are both on offense and defense heading into the second half of the season. Now for Saraland, who you see right there getting ready to group up near the 40-yard line, Saraland is undefeated 5-0 on the season. Again, they've really been dominant the last few years. In the last year and a half, they've only lost 1 game, and that was in the regular season to fellow 6A rival Theodore, and they did get that win back in the playoffs in order to advance to that state championship game last year. But other than that, they've really been dominant, especially this season. If you remember, they were actually our first game of the week earlier this year when they took on Tennessee powerhouse Lipscomb Academy, that one ending in a 31-30 overtime thriller. And that really set the tone. Head coach Jeff Kelly said back then, we want to start off the season strong. We want to start off against that national powerhouse on a big stage to really see where we are coming off that championship season. Boy, did they ever. You'll remember Lipscomb giving them really all that they could handle for most of that game. Saraland did respond, bring that game in overtime, and then it was won with a touchdown by Ryan Williams, who's really been Mr. Do-It-All for this team over the last year and a half. But ever since that game, that test really did a lot of good for them, because ever since then, they've really blitzed through their September schedule so far. They got into region play, again, sitting at 5-0 on the season, and they've been dominant. All their wins coming by double digits since that week 1 win against Lipscomb Academy. Their closest game in the last month has been against Spanish Fort, who was our game of the week about 2 or 3 weeks ago. That was the closest game on their schedule since week 1. That game, just to put it into perspective, Saraland won 42-7 on the Hill, which is an extremely hard thing to do. The Hill, an extremely hard place to come away with a win. Saraland jumped out from the onset of that game, really kept their foot on the gas and put that game out of reach early. Last week when they were out here, they did score a season school record, 66 points against Robertsdale, beating them 66 to nothing. And that 0 is really important as well. This defense, everybody talks about the offense, but this defense is definitely one of the top defensive units in the state. They're only giving up 9 points a game. Jamison Curtis, who's closer near the middle right there. You can probably see him, number 8. He's had a couple of scoop and scores, both on special teams and defense. So really one of those ball hawks. He's a tough physical linebacker. He knows how to knock the ball out, and if the ball's on the ground, if it's anywhere near him, he's going to get it. He's got incredible speed in the open field. So if he gets his hands on that ball, it's pretty safe to say he's going to break loose for a touchdown. If not a touchdown, he's going to get pretty close. Another defensive star is recent Alabama commit Antonio Coleman, who's really known for making life a living nightmare for quarterbacks and running backs in the backfield. Already has several tackle for losses to go along with about 2 or 3 sacks on the season. So that's definitely somebody that Foley is going to have to account for. Again, Nelson Thompson, he's a young quarterback, definitely has the talent, but he's going to need time in order to find guys like Perry Thompson and some of their other playmakers. So the offensive line is going to have their hands full containing Antonio Coleman in order to make them. You can probably see him right there, big number 95. They're definitely going to have their hands full containing Antonio Coleman. And on offense, there's playmakers all over the place. Catalyst for that is quarterback and Texas commit KJ Lacey, who last week in that 66-0 win threw for 5 touchdowns, and that was just in the first half. KJ is extremely accurate on the season, completing about 60%, a little bit over 60% of his passes, has 13 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, so very good at protecting the ball, definitely big on ball security, which is something that Saraland has always preached, but it's really been preached over the last couple of years. So KJ, and he's been getting the ball to his top target, reigning Mr. Football, Ryan Williams, who has 6 receiving touchdowns on the season. His other playmakers, C.D. Gill, Brooks Womble, and of course the running back. They can get it done on the ground as well with running back Sante McWilliams and Deshaun Spencer. So if you like offense, this is definitely going to be one of the matchups that you want to watch. Again, this is going to come down to which defenses can really make some stands and keep the ball away from the other team's offense. So that's kind of your breakdown about where things stand for this game. This is going to be an extremely exciting game. Again, Saraland is already, as I'm watching them, they're already filing in. Most of the stands are already full. Foley fans are on their way in on the other side. Of course, kickoff is at 7 o'clock. We'll have everything ready for you. We'll show you a complete recap plus post-game reaction coming up later on tonight for First and 10. See you there.